Hey everyone, welcome to a bonus episode of Gripe, the show that's normally for short, sweet reviews of new release movies, plus the one thing that annoyed me the most. But today, we're not talking about that. Today, we're talking about the Marvel Cinematic Universe, present, past, and future. And there are some minor spoilers. It's weird to think that it hasn't even been 10 years since Iron Man came out, and yet here we are at 14 films following the release of November's Doctor Strange. Even more mind blowing is the fact that there wasn't even an MCU film released in 2009 and only one in 2010. So since 2011, we've had 13 films. And we're looking at 2 straight years with 3 releases each. Now, love it or hate it, the MCU is a powerhouse, and rightfully so, to be honest. They've turned the superhero genre on its head a few times to keep it fresh. The Winter Soldier alone was a remarkable piece of filmmaking, akin to something like The Dark Knight. But despite the fear of fatigue, what does the state of the MCU look like right now, and also what does the future hold, both for the characters as well as the actors who play them? The release of Doctor Strange is another origin story addition, but it's so much more than we may realize. In Doctor Strange, we are introduced to the multiverse, a concept in Marvel that explains alternate realities and timelines, maybe one where Groot is a shrubbery instead of a tree. Never know. This opens the door, though, to the possibility that the MCU can go on forever and still be part of one big universe, notably casting new actors in familiar roles. Maybe that's how they explain Mark Ruffalo as the Hulk. I don't know. Let's rewind really quick to 2008 when we saw the first potential of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. When Iron Man came out, it had a pretty big impact both commercially and culturally. However, before the end credit scenes, it probably felt like just another superhero movie to most people. Then, when The Incredible Hulk came out and saw Tony Stark appear at the end, the big picture started to emerge of where this universe could go, that this was not just one film franchise, it was an entire network of films. And since then, we've been introduced to a trove of characters, from Captain America to Thor to Vision. And while not every movie has been exceedingly successful, the franchise as a whole has grossed over $4 billion in the US alone and over $10 billion worldwide. So I would say that's pretty successful. So we are guaranteed to see more Marvel movies for years to come on the big and small screens, because let's not forget that Netflix has given us a few very successful shows like Daredevil and Jessica Jones and Luke Cage that are not only really well done, but they just add more dynamic to this Marvel universe. But as I said before, are we worried about superhero fatigue? Are we getting just too much too quickly? Well, there's a yes and a no, because whether we like it or not, there will be 6 MCU films released in the next 2 years, including Avengers Infinity War, Spider-Man Homecoming, and Black Panther. But the quality of the films remains high, especially with new directors and writers coming on board to add new creative eyes to the series. When we think of people like the Russo brothers and James Gunn, what they've done with Captain America and Guardians of the Galaxy, respectively. And plus, we have guys like Ryan Coogler, who did Creed, and Taika Waititi, who did What We Do in the Shadows. Just a couple movies that show that they're bringing in some really creative minds to add to the MCU. We've also been introduced to characters that we want to know more about, like Black Panther, who really did shine in Civil War. And they're going to get their own films, along with some that we haven't even seen yet who've got films lined up, like Captain Marvel. But most exciting, though, is how we are chest deep in a story that has been leading us to a massive crossover war, and that conclusion still eludes us. From the moment that Thanos was introduced in Avengers, we knew that we would eventually find ourselves in the midst of the Infinity War, which is coming out in 2018 and directed by the Russo brothers. And when that happens, it could dramatically change the direction of the MCU. Infinity War is what they've been building up to, but with everything that we've done over the past 8-9 years, it's going to change significantly once Infinity War is done, because how that ends is going to determine the path that the films take from then on. Despite the ambitious plan, we know that our favorite actors won't be around forever. There's certainly real concern that Robert Downey Jr. and Chris Evans will be done following Infinity War. They've been the backbone of this franchise, and they've been fan favorites, but again, neither of them want to do this forever. They both want to go on to other creative endeavors. And that's why Doctor Strange becomes that wild card that can completely reshape the future of the franchise. Now, that could be good, it could be bad. We don't know yet, but it's the potential that the entire universe can change thanks to what we're given in Doctor Strange. The real question should be, though, are we prepared for that? Are we ready to move on to new actors? Like I said, we've seen it with a few, with like Mark Ruffalo taking over for Edward Norton as Hulk, or as Don Cheadle taking over for Terrence Howard as War Machine. So we have seen it, but we're talking about somebody taking over from Robert Downey Jr. to play Iron Man. That's a big step, and that's something I don't know if we are prepared for. 2018 really is going to be judgment year for Marvel and our future interest in the franchise. Once Infinity War is over, it's going to completely change the face of this franchise. And the question is going to be, are we going to like it? Or is that going to be the nail in the coffin that says, this has been a good run, but I think finally we're ready to move on to something new? As long as people keep going to these movies and Doctor Strange proves that people are willing to take a risk on an unknown film that's well made, they will continue to build this universe. As long as these movies continue to make money, we're going to keep seeing them. But eventually there will be a change, and our favorite Marvel films will either be classic memories that can't be topped or part of something that we can't even fathom yet. So I'm not sure which one that'll be, but 2018 is going to be an interesting year. Let me know what you think about the state of the MCU, where it's going, where it's been, and kind of where we are right now. And that'll do it for this episode of Key Gripe, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye. Hey, you made it to the end of the video. Nice work. Good job. If you like what you saw, you can just go ahead and click that subscribe button for all videos past and future. You can also head over to my website and see all the other stuff that I do, including the books I've written. So go ahead, click stuff.